Bakersfield, and I'm the chair of the First Ward Civic Association. This is Tom Lemaine, he's our vice chair, and this is Ms. Gwen Dimmon. She is our treasurer, and she will be asking you questions this evening, and I'll be picking up questions in the back. Next Tuesday, October 10th at Dante Hall at 7 p.m., there will be a debate of the State Assembly and Senate candidates. Doors will be open at 6:30, parking in the rear or at the garage. Again, next Tuesday, October 10, 7 p.m. at Dante Hall for the State Assembly and Senate candidates. All right, thank you. Now, we will tell the candidates, these are the rules. You have 2 minutes to open and close, 1 minute to answer questions. The opener, whoever starts first, will go last at the end. And the rebut, we will give you 1 minute to rebut. And we will start with number 1 with Stacy Cameraman. Stacy, you're opening now. Oh, here. And by the way, unfortunately, we're limited to 1 mic tonight because some broke it.
Thank you very much. I am very happy to be here with my neighbors and friends. I live right down the street at the end of Massachusetts Avenue where I live and work. I also own Cameraman's Marina at the end of Massachusetts Avenue. My family has been here for 4 generations, and I recently just opened up a bar, Siren's Bar and Grill, because I believe in the future of Atlantic City. I believe that our future is bright. Before this, I was a Spanish teacher, so I am fluent in Spanish. And I started a company that teaches Spanish and English as a second language for the workplace that helps people learn the language they need to get a better job or to get promoted in the job that they currently have. So my personal life, I have 3 adult children. I'm also the wife of a police officer that's been serving Atlantic City for 25 years, and I thank you for this outpouring of support here today. I also am the only woman running in this election, and there is no other women on council. There hasn't been any for a very long time. So we have over 50% of our population are women, and yet we have absolutely no representation in our city government. So I'm here to hopefully, as councilwoman, give a voice to the women that have not had a voice for a very long time. As councilwoman, I work very hard for our communities to make sure that our children, our families, and our visitors feel safe. And I will work hard for all of you. And I thank you. I hope that you will vote for the person over the party. And please do vote Column B. Thank you.
Hello, thank you for coming out tonight. I'm Councilman Tibbet. I'm a lifelong resident. I'm the grandson of Catherine Farley and Tom Adams. Lifelong resident of Atlantic City. My family's been here since the beginning of time of Atlantic City. We were the first settlers in this town. I was a superintendent for John Sykes Company for 25 years. Did just about every major casino in town. After John Sykes went out of business, after 105 years, I opened my own company where I employed hundreds of Atlantic City people. I've done that my whole life. We'll continue to do that. I've had the opportunity to watch people, re-entry people come through our company, get good jobs, go out, become good family men, buy homes, and things of that nature. My personal life, I have 2 sons, a daughter-in-law, I have 1 grandchild, and another one coming in February. So I look forward to staying here, making the city better. My son moved here. We're buying more property here for my other son. We believe in Atlantic City. We're investing everything we have in this city. We're putting our money where our mouth is. This place has given me everything I have in life, and I'm not going to forget, and I'm not going to leave, and I'm going to continue to fight. I know I'm told I have a big mouth, but I fight for you. I fight for bad deals when I see them. I'm going to fight against them, as I always do. If it's not right for you, It's not right. You know, I fight for spending. When you see our spending, I spend my money, I spend your money the same way I do mine. And you can know that I'm very cheap, I'm very tight with money, and I always look to get $2 out of a dollar, and I'm going to continue to do that, and I look forward to answering your questions.
Hello, everyone. My name is Paul Tanaki. Thank you so much for letting us go and speak here this evening. I'm battling a bit of a sinus infection, so bear with me. It doesn't mean I'm sick, so please shake my hand before we leave this building here today. I'm running for Councilman at Large proudly with Mayor Don Gardy because I believe that Atlantic City needs a change on council. I've been here for 5 years, so as a point of contrast, I always like to get in front of, when telling people about who I am and why it is that I'm running, I always like to point out the fact that I moved here, opened up a business, which I've since sold, because I believe in Atlantic City. And I believe that if you have the right people in City Hall, you have the right culture, things will get done. This will become a better place for families, for businesses large and small, for communities and families to come together here in Atlantic City with Mayor Don Gardy back in office. If you asked me only a year ago this time if I ever saw myself running in an election, I would frankly tell you, no, I'm not really the political type, but I was always someone that knew what an opportunity was, seeing what possibility there might be in Atlantic City, and I jumped on it when I was approached by Mayor Don Gardy and his chief of staff to run in this election. I'm very proud to be in front of everyone here today as someone with business sense, with someone that has helped in the community with a lot of great ideas, and most importantly, considering the fact that there are people here on the other ticket that have been on council for 12 years or 8 years, and they're going to tell you, frankly, here today, they're going to tell you that things could have been better on their watch. Think about that, okay? Think about the fact that they not only are going to sit here and tell you what they could have done better, and they didn't, but also the fact that they're going to try and divide the people here in Atlantic City. We've been in 2 debates so far, and I can tell you a page from their playbook is going to be telling everyone here the election is going to be based on race. It's going to be based on North versus South. It's going to be based on Republican versus Democrat. I urge everyone here that's sitting to consider that as to hear we all speak. Thank you.
I never need a mic.
That's right.
How's everybody this evening?
Right.
Please forgive us for having atmosphere the way we have. It's a little stuffy in here, we understand. You understand that hot air rises. So the taller you are, you get to really suffocating. Right now I'm feeling a lot of hot air. You're probably going to hear a whole lot more hot air as we go along. So I'll say, please, we apologize. This is unfortunate, the circus that Atlantic City has become as far as politics is concerned. But the truth is, Atlantic City has potential. The truth is, Atlantic City is the shining star. The truth is, Atlantic City is more than just business. It's about resident life. I'm Mo Delgado, if you didn't know this already. I'm the police's favorite enemy. Right, gentlemen? I'm a social worker by trade. I help people in need. That's what I do. I don't try to sell people booze. I'm not concerned too much about what they do in their social lives. My concern is about you living, maintaining on your own, by your own 2 hands. That's what I do. And that's what I've been doing in City Council. This is my 8th year, and I'm proud to say we've accomplished quite a bit. The only thing we couldn't accomplish was to beat off that 800-pound gorilla called the state, which unfortunately we had people who are in office now who was working with the state. We have people that like to profess that they've been fighting the state, but they've actually been on the table eating very nicely off of the sweat that you've created here in Atlantic City. But they're not going to tell you the truth. They're going to tell you, oh, we got game plans. We got this, we got that. We got a lot. What we don't have is the truth coming out of a lot of people. We've been telling the truth from the onset, from the very beginning. This is not an easy task. Some of the decisions that we made won't be popular. We understand that. But all the decisions that have to be made should be done above board and in front of you. Not behind doors, not in Trenton, not a drunk whack. Is that the time? Forgive me, sorry. I'll continue later. Us versus them.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ron Bailey. I'm running for council at large on Mayor Don Guardian's ticket. I'm a lifelong resident here in Atlantic City. I grew up in Ducktown, down in the 5th Ward. I'm an emergency medical technician for the last 15 years. I got involved in the community well before I decided to get involved in politics. At age 11, I began doing anti-drug marches in my community as a way to take back my community against drug activity and gang activity. At age 12, I became a volunteer with the American Red Cross's disaster response team. Growing up as a teenager, I got the life skills of what it meant to actually be available to the residents and help them in their time of need. Whether it was going out at 4 o'clock in the morning when someone's house was on fire and helping to relocate them, or responding to a natural disaster, my life skills learned from that experience was that if you go out and dedicate yourself to helping people, you'll find that place in your heart that shows that that's what your calling was. I found that as my calling was to help people, and I continue to do that today. My other tasks that I do, I'm a photographer as a hobby. I'm looking to do a lot of activities with the youth if I'm elected as council. I'm looking forward to bring more programs that were available when I was a teenager, whether it's the Urban Youth Golf Program or the Ready to Ride program with the Egg Harbor Township PAL building. I'm looking to be a mentor out in our community for our youth and working to make sure we have programs that are available for our seniors, for our youth, and for everyone else. I'm here to work for you. I'm willing to listen to any issues that you may have. My phone's going to be on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no matter if it's a holiday or not. Rest assured that you will have my ear for any issues that may arise that you need. Please remember, on November 7th, column B, thank you for your support in advance.
How's everyone doing tonight?
Good.
How's everyone doing tonight?
Great.
All right, that's a little better. My name is Jeffrey Fauleroy. I'm running for council at large. If you don't know who I am, I'm a lifelong resident. Both my mother and father were police officers in Atlantic City, both now retired now. Why I'm running for council at large is because I believe I am the change I want to see. I believe in Atlantic City. I'm born and raised here. I grew up when both of my mother and father were police officers, and it was a great time in Atlantic City. Our recreation programs were thriving, and the city was thriving. Unfortunately, it's taken a turn for the worse sometimes. But I'm telling you that Atlantic City is still great. It's an amazing town. I'm born and raised here, and I'm not going anywhere. Some of the reasons that I ran, sometimes Atlantic City youth gets looked over. We get looked past. We get looked at as threats instead of assets in this city. And no one reaches down for us to help us out.
That's right.
And I believe that bridging the gap is one of the most important things in this city. It's a great time. It is a great time in Atlantic City. When I was started running, or thinking about running, it was great for me to align myself with people that were about economic development. Frank and George and Mo have been about that. Economic development, revamping the recreation programs, it's limited. The possibilities of Atlantic City are unlimited. And it is a great time. November 7th is going to be a great day. So be excited. November 7th, the Democrats will be in. We will turn the state blue again. With Phil Murphy as the head governor and us as council and Frank Gilliam as mayor, we will make Atlantic City the best it can be. Thank you, guys.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming out this evening. My name is Tom Forkin. I'm running as an independent for city council. Actually, you do get to vote for 3 people. So your selection, you can vote for any 3 candidates. You can vote for a Democrat, you can vote for a Republican, and an independent. Hopefully on that vote. My experience in town, I was originally a lifeguard here in Atlantic City. My grandparents had a place in Ducktown. I've been involved in the city now for 30 years. Mayor Whalen brought me back from Philadelphia. I had law practice up there. I lived in Villanova. I moved back here as the police legal advisor. I later served as a city solicitor. Tried many cases. I believe, frankly, that we should keep a lot more litigation in-house. So with that said, instead of these expensive law firms that pay big money to some of the various candidates, and I'm not talking about any of our friends here, and I would like to say that I think that we are all friends, and I don't think that it should get personal, but I think that people need to look at the qualifications of individuals, and I have printed out my experience and my tax plan, because I think ultimately it's all about taxes. How are we going to address the taxes? The state takes approximately $90 million a year in luxury room and parking tax. Now, my friend Larry Farnese from Philadelphia, he's the state senator from the district that they have the 2 casinos. He's like, how do you guys let them take all that money out of Atlantic City? Well, we've sat back, we haven't been aggressive enough. The only reason that I'm running for city council is to get that money back and force the state to pay its fair share, and the only way we do that is to sue the state in federal court on civil rights and constitutional grounds. Now, if you need any more information on that, I have my website on there, forkin4ac.com, or on Facebook, Forkin4AC, in detail. This must happen. It has not happened yet. I've begged and pleaded city council to do this. It has not happened. I do not know why. Maybe they're getting some bad legal advice or something to that effect. And I appreciate your support. Thank you.
Well, the first question is to Mr. Tibbet and Delgado. How do you know what's going on in the wards? You don't come to ward meetings. You are not seen except at election time.
1 minute. Shocker.
I don't know what ward meetings whoever asked that question is talking about. We're the whole city. We're not one ward. We do multiple wards. Just because you don't come to as many as these wards meetings where you get 10, 15 people at them a night, we're in the city all the time. Mr. Palillo sees me out there all the time. You see me in Chelsea Heights all the time. You see me all over Atlantic City. I don't know where that question came from, but come on, let's be real here.
Lose that microphone again. I always say the same thing. The most unfortunate truth is that we don't have enough people participating in some of these meetings. So the fact that there's small numbers in these meetings doesn't mean it's not covering the entire city. But we have to ensure that people are spoken to throughout the city. And that's what we do. We knock on doors, talking people on the street, speak to them, because half the time you don't know where these people are who are running for office now. Have never seen them before, but you've seen me. You can't miss me. I'm one of the uglier, bigger, loud ones. They'll see me anywhere from the supermarket to the gas station. You can't avoid me. I'm not part of any cliques. I've been everywhere and anywhere, in every avenue there was. Whether it's Sandy issues that we had in Bungalow, I'm trying to help people help out as far as Sandy's issues. So to say that we don't come to meetings just means that I'm not part of the bureaucracy, the problem that we have meetings with no solutions. I'm about the solutions. So if we can talk about solutions, then we'll talk about that. If you're saying I haven't been to a meeting, then I'm sorry. There has been a few I've missed. Those are the ones that just don't necessarily meet the need at that time if I'm doing something for someone else in need.
The next question, it doesn't indicate to whom is asked, but it says, what is being done about the increase in population of people on drugs that are hanging out in Center City, Atlantic Avenue, Library, Shopping Center, etc.?
So I think the best way to answer that question is to understand that yes, we do have an increasing issue with drug activity and homelessness here in Atlantic City. The best way to combat that is to actually be out in the community and reaching out to those people and understanding what their needs are. We need to treat them as though they are our residents. They're someone's mother, father, brother, sister. We have to find the resources that are out there for them and get them connected with those resources. That is something I look forward to doing once I become your next councilman.
Instead of wasting time, just sit here because you're limited. We have a major problem. We have a major problem with people being sent here from all over. It's something that I've been dealing with the state on, Mr. Cunningham. I've invited him multiple times to drive down Pacific Avenue at nighttime, even during the day. You know, our newest influx of people are coming from Seaside Heights. They're shipping all their people here. I mean, the problem we have is we have very good social services. We have the rescue mission. We have the soup kitchens. We have everything that's needed there. Re-entry program. The state ships everybody from the re-entry program here. Megan's List. There's properties in Atlantic City, when you punch up Megan's List, it looks like a machine gun went off with all the dot of all the Megan's List people here. It's something that we have to continue to fight with the state, because Atlantic City can't be a dumping ground. Also, we have to have more guys in patrol. 12 to 15 guys in patrol isn't enough guys on what's taking place on Pacific Avenue right now. It's terrible. It's the worst I've seen it in my entire life. It's not any one race, female, male, female. It's time.
Folks, we talked about being precautionary. We talked about reactionary. Being precautionary is something we need to do. The reality is that as we go into society and more people are unemployed, less and less revenue and access to resources for people, the coping option for them, for a lot of the individuals, is drugs. The drug dealer is here in this room. The drug dealer is down the street. The drug dealer is actually looking for everyone, looking for that desperate moment to make that bad choice. So we have to understand, we can't keep pushing this away. We can't keep arresting this. We can't do all those things. We have to attack it at all levels. At one point in time, we had a health department that worked towards helping individuals with those issues as well as HIV and AIDS. The state said, we don't need it. This is the end result. We had an influx of mismanaged programs coming in, and what do we get? The end result of shipments of people coming in from other areas. There's millions of dollars being funneled through organizations like the county, who are supposed to be more responsible and aren't. But that's the state for you.
Well, as someone that has participated in the beach sweeps organized by Officer Gonzalez, I've seen people that are, in fact, homeless, that have found their way to this situation through various means. Unfortunately, whether it be that they suffer from a drug addiction, or they gamble away every day because they came here one weekend and they only had a one-way pass to Atlantic City. It's unfortunate. I don't like to use the word attack like you just heard. These are people at the end of the day, okay? And frankly, there's single point of entry is a great program which can identify, based on the needs of those homeless people, exactly where they might end up. And that is a good way of identifying the need and addressing it. Now, I do have a problem, as has been said here. We have been a dumping ground for people coming from Ocean County. I know for a fact that a few people stick their head in the sand like Cunningham about this very issue, but it is a reality here in Atlantic City. So we need to be proactive. We need to engender the support of the police department and all other agencies, Jewish Family Services, all the other ones that work with the homeless citizens. Thank you.
As a mother, my heart breaks for these children, the sons and daughters of us and our brothers and sisters that are suffering from addiction. It is a problem that is across the entire country, not just in Atlantic City. Fortunately, we don't have the resources to help them get the help they need. We don't have the beds. Thankfully, Governor Christie has promised $200 million to help people with addiction so that we can help our people in Atlantic City. I think as long as we can provide the resources for them, the people, they want help. They ask for help. They do get small amounts of help, a few days here and there, but they need long-term help and continued support to help them stay addiction-free. I think with the money that hopefully Atlantic City will get, we'll be able to provide better resources for them.
The reality of it is, these people aren't from Atlantic City. You walk on Atlantic Avenue, and I know no one. Atlantic City used to be, and Atlantic Avenue used to be off limits to drug dealers. But now you see them piled up there selling drugs right at Popeyes. I think some of the issues are that the counties surrounding us just dump their problems here. Atlantic City has our own issues that we need to deal with. So we need to work with the state to make some legislation that people can't just dump their issues here. There are a lot of issues here. We have great programs such as John Brooks Recovery System, Recovery Facility. But there are great things here for those people that get dumped here. We talked with the cops the other day, and you know, a lot of those people shouldn't have it's so easy to obtain addresses here where they can get those social services. We need to keep Atlantic City, and people need to stop dumping their problems on Atlantic City.
This is a very personal issue for me in that I just lost my sister this past June. And she was in a car accident a few years ago. The doctors prescribed her opioids. And when they took her off the opioids, the addiction was already there. It's a disease. Addiction is a disease. It needs to be treated like a disease. She died as a result of her addiction. She was in a nursing home for the last 5 years of her life. She was 50 years old. So I understand this issue all too well, and how we tried to get her into rehab, how we tried to help her, and I empathize with anyone who suffers from this addiction. But by virtue of the fact that she was prescribed legal medication, opioids, and the pharmaceutical company should be held responsible. But Chris Brown has already passed legislation to outlaw people dumping addicts here, so thank you.
Please address the mail-in ballot issue where ballots are being pre-filled out at the county offices today. Can you hear me?
Yes, we heard.
Everybody hear that question? Everybody hear the question?
Please address the mail-in ballot issues where ballots are being pre-filled out at the county offices today. Who wants to take that? Silence.
With all due respect, I think that's something that we need to bring the Board of Elections to the table to ask why something like that would take place in that aspect. Because nobody's vote should be disenfranchised. No one should lose their opportunity to vote for who they want. And we should make sure that that process, the democratic process, is always kept safe.
Anyone else has any comment?
Okay.
I just wanted to make a comment that it's very concerning what happened at the clerk's office. And as a voter and to protect all of our voters' rights, it's very, very important that this gets investigated. We have to make sure that people feel that they can vote in confidence and not worry about corruption. I've been walking door to door, and I will hear people say to me that they know that the system in Atlantic City is corrupt, but they're going to vote anyway. They feel hopeless. So I certainly hope that it will be taken care of in the county so that we can be confident that our votes count the way we want them to.
I believe it's important, for everyone to vote, to participate in the process. One of the reasons that the state takes advantage of Atlantic City is that we have roughly 30,000 people that can vote. Okay, only less than half of them are registered, and on a good day, only about 5,000 people vote. And again, those are approximate numbers. Anything we can do to encourage people to get out and vote is important. I am of the mindset that they should go to the polls and vote. I'm not a big fan of the absentee ballot or the messenger ballot or the mail-in ballots. I like to see people go to the polls. I've seen veterans and old folks go to the polls, and there's something magical about the democratic process when it functions in that capacity. I think the numbers need to be driven to the polls. It's unfortunate that these allegations are flying around, but I think that we need to get more people to vote in Atlantic City. And I think more people to participate in the process and make educated decisions. That's paramount. Thank you.
I also think this needs to be completely investigated. First of all, you got to understand what took place. The lady at the counter handed this individual his ballot Nobody else touched it but him, and he claims that when he opened it, that it was already filled out. That's an issue between the county and that person. It needs to be fully investigated. And let's face it, we have people all over the world right now fighting for our rights, fighting for the right to vote, and nobody should have that vote stolen from them. And just because one election, somebody gets in with messenger ballots that you like, and then somebody gets in the next election that you don't, the messenger ballot's a great tool to get people to participate in. Has to be done right, has to be done legally. You look at Florida, they're voting early now. You can go to the polls a month out. Whatever it takes to get the maximum participation from all of us to vote in all over this country. If maybe we had more earlier voting through more states, maybe we wouldn't have the president we have today.
We have several questions regarding taxes. And some of the questions about appealing taxes. What would you do if to lower the taxes? What would you do to lower the property taxes? What would you do to lower the school taxes? And what do you plan to do in this term coming? So we go start with this gentleman.
Just so we don't catch the candidates by surprise, when there's 10 seconds left, I will raise my hand. You can see 10 seconds left. Thank you.
So I think the best way to answer that question as far as lowering the property taxes is you bring more business into Atlantic City. You open the city for more businesses to come in, more developers to come in, and you work with them developers to ensure that when they come into Atlantic City, they're bringing more jobs, which brings more people in to live in Atlantic City. With Stockton opening next year and the Hard Rock, as well as South Jersey Gas, we're looking at over 3,000 jobs coming into Atlantic City, and hopefully that transitions into those 3,000 people deciding to come live here in Atlantic City. When we have more ratables here in Atlantic City, that's going to give us the ability to lower the taxes. But also it's going to take the opportunity to look at the budget with fresh eyes to see if there's any other areas of wasteful spending that are going on, so that we can look at it that way and see where anything else that needs to be adjusted will be adjusted so that we're lowering the taxes for you.
That's a hard question to answer in 60 seconds, but we'll start with redevelopment. We got to be user-friendly. We got to get as many people back to town developing like we have the Hard Rock, Stockton. To get redevelopers, though, the very first thing we got to do is we got to be safe. Although all these cops in the back don't support us, we need more cops on the street. We need a whole lot more hire another 50 cops to be out there, because no developers come into town if they don't feel safe. Tourists aren't coming to town if they don't feel safe. We have to continue our talks with Murphy. We got to keep our fingers crossed that Murphy wins this election. He understands the amount of money that's being taken out of town. He wants to work with us. It's going to take a lot of legislation to change the room tax, the luxury tax, and everything else, because money is earmarked for bonds that are already out there that they took for the convention center, for the boardwalk hall, and other things. So Murphy's, we got to hope and pray that he keeps his promise to us and helps us get more of that money back in town. He realizes how much money comes from this town and goes to the state.
In addition to what George had just basically said, the formula is very difficult. We have to make sure that the formula is more amicable to us in the city and not the industry that's taken so much from the residents and not so much from the communities. But one of the most outstanding things that we need to ensure that we do first is get the state out of our budget. Because we are paying so many people for doing nothing. Basically just co-signing something, having a phone call. When you make a phone call to a person that's supposed to be an advocate for the city, he's billing you a couple $100,000 for a phone call that took 2 seconds. That's right there fleecing of America, right? We got representatives that are supposed to assist us in this process. All they're doing is billing and compounding debt. They're giving us a bunch of free jargon about how the bond market is terrible with us, when we find out 2 days later, it wasn't as bad. They just used it as a marketing tool to put their greedy hands in the pot. They were fearful about everything. We have to understand that we have to be able to negotiate with our bond debt. We have to understand. But we also have to make sure we pay our bills here first before we pay Wall Street. And that's been a problem in the past.
Well, For many people in this room, taxes is obviously a very big issue. I would like to point out the fact that it's because of the fact we have a terrific police force in Atlantic City that we can attract businesses. When I first moved here 5 years ago, I knew it was because my business would be protected. As a matter of fact, I had property stolen from the business I was running, and they promptly returned it, gave me a smile, and thanked me for actually opening up a business here in Atlantic City. That's a story I carry with me to this day. I recognize that in order for businesses to want to come and for families to want to move here and stay, it's going to require our communities to be safe. So in order to do that, we again have to work with all of our emergency services, policemen, firefighters, EMTs. These are people that we will work with on our ticket, the Mayor Don Guardian team ticket, to make sure that these communities are safe. And so certainly if we have all these things, we will be able to bring the redevelopers here. I know that. If we look at models all over the country, when you see cities like Jersey City bring higher education institutions like what we have with Stockton's Atlantic City campus, that's going to be a game changer for the city. More ratables, better for us taxpayers. Thank you.
I agree, we need more development, more investment. We also need more market rate and workforce housing so that we have more people paying property taxes in Atlantic City. We need to be business friendly. We also, as a councilwoman, I want to take a look at our budget, just like I do with my own businesses. I look at where we're making money, where we can increase revenue, where we can save money, and where opportunities are there that haven't been touched upon yet. So as councilwoman, I will go through this budget and I will find ways that we can make money as a city and where other places where we can save money. And also hope to be a business liaison for people who are coming into the city. The business that I run has been in business in Atlantic City for 60 years, and I recently just opened up a bar and grill, so I've been through the process. I know how I can help people and streamline the process for them to come in with new businesses and new development.
We're kind of sitting out of order a little bit, so Jeff and I keep joking with each other. But what's no joke is our taxes. And my tax plan is to compel the state to pay their fair share. The state controls the tourism district, unfortunately for us, and we pay for it. The state does not pay 1 penny of public safety for our ACPD or ACFD in the state tourism district. Yet the state takes almost $90 million out a year in luxury room and parking tax. My proposal is to shift that revenue stream, that pre-existing revenue stream, which presently goes to the state's general fund. CRETA reallocated that money. We need to get that money back to pay for our policemen. There's some nights in Atlantic City that there's only 6 patrolmen out on the street in Atlantic City. And that's at the state's hands, especially when you have something that happened like that in Vegas. So we have to take care of our public safety, and that money needs to come from the state, and I'm the person that's going to get those funds for you, or I'm gone in 4 years. Thank you.
That's not an easy answer to easy question to answer. I think there is a few things that you can do. First of all, I think you need a tax reevaluation. The last time you guys had a tax reevaluation was in 2008. So you guys are paying taxes from the height of the market. I think you would be more comfortable if you did a tax reevaluation and paying for taxes that according to the market right now. I also believe we can grow our way out of this. Economic development and people with Stockton coming here, I think is a great opportunity for people to come and have businesses here. They say that Atlantic City starts their budget off $100 million in debt. I think we're working with Phil Murphy and getting some of our luxury tax, our room tax, our parking tax back. That's $90 million right there that the state takes from us every year. I believe that working with Phil Murphy and getting some of those things back, Atlantic City can be great.
The next question is to all incumbents. Where were you when Mayor Guardian, Council President Small were fighting against the state takeover in Trenton?
Yeah. We were in Vinnie Pareto's office in Secaucus. That's where we were at. You can't sit up there when you need $70 to $100 million You can't go out there and call people names that you're asking for the money from. Could you imagine what your taxes would be right now if you didn't get the type of aid that we got? Yeah, the mayor worked on it and got some aid. That's his job to do as well as ours. But we were working with Vinnie Prieto. We were multiple trips to Senator Sweeney's office, showing them how that fire grant, how much money we saved in overtime by having that fire grant, showing them how, you know, how safe the people were. Why wouldn't you want that fire grant? Why would you want to get away from that fire grant? You can't go and call people names when you need $70, $80 million. What are you going to accomplish? You're not going to accomplish nothing that way.
It's really convenient to talk about being in the fight when we're only talking about a photo shot. Everyone was there to make sure their nice face was taken in a photo opportunity to look as you have been fighting. Anybody knows when it comes to politics in the state, even in this municipality, the fight is done way before it comes to the table. It's a discussion that you have one-on-one between men, one-on-one between organizations, one-on-one everywhere else in the community. I've been fighting ever since I got into office when they first talked about S11, S12. They first talked about that. I went to Washington, D.C., got up in Sweeney's face, almost got kicked out by White House themselves because of the fact that I was angry and upset about it. When we had the League of Municipalities here, we've had it every year. And every year you have a chance to talk to the top 4 guys of the state. Who was there talking to them about it? I was. So don't tell me about a fight with photo ops. You can take your photo ops. I'm too busy working and fighting for you.
Yes. The next question is for all candidates. What background do you have in directly serving the residents of Atlantic City and their concerns? Name 2.
Could you repeat it?
What background do you have in directly serving the residents of Atlantic City and their concerns? Name 2.
Okay, so the 2 that I can think of off the bat is emergency medical technician. I worked in Atlantic City for the last 10 years as an emergency medical technician. I volunteered here in Atlantic City with the American Red Cross. Both of those jobs gave me the opportunity to work hand in hand with the police department, the fire department, and other first responders when there was a time of need for the residents. I've dedicated my life, like I said in my opening statement, for the last 20 years to help people in their time of need. I will continue to do that, and I look forward to doing that as your next councilman.
I'm an employer. I employed hundreds of Atlantic City people. And they're not $10, $15 an hour jobs. It costs me $80 an hour for my men, for their health benefits, for their annuities, for their pensions. Real union guys. Guys that got second chances in life. Re-entry people that we gave second chances and watched them become good family men. Here's a crazy one that people can't understand when I explain this. I teach people how to make money. A lot of people don't know how to make money when they get in a rut. And you try and teach them, start out with a small job, save that money, open a small business, watch that small business grow. So mine has been always economic and employing people.
I've been a social worker for over 25 years, working specifically with the youth inside communities that are hardest to serve. In the poorest of communities, I've been in there working to help them sustain themselves so they can work on their own and no longer have to worry about a crutch from the government. I've been working in the community as a mentor. I've been teaching as a substitute. I'm working with the Virgie Jordan's program over in Stanley Holmes Village for as many years as I'm blessed to say with the work team. Working in the Hispanic Alliance as well, not only a member, but as a president. That's also something that's not talked about, the diversity. I've been involved in different programs that represent different people in the city, working towards the same thing, sustaining themselves, equal opportunity, and representation. That's what I've been doing for most of my major life. I haven't been living off of anyone else's endowment. I've been working hard. I know what it is firsthand, what it is to eat government cheese. I come from a poor family. Yes. I know what it is to start from the bottom.
Yes.
All right, well, I certainly want to borrow parlance from Stacy. A business liaison this city needs. When I opened up my business, which again I sold, I would like to point, I'd like to point out the fact that I didn't really feel like I had a lot of help from City Hall. I had no one. I had permitters coming to my building, and I had no line of communication to understand why it was that my business wasn't opening up according to the projected time that I wanted to. So I know that we need a business liaison in the worst way if we intend to go change Atlantic City's fortunes and make this place more business friendly, in addition to obviously communities and families and whatnot. And I'd also like to point out something real funny. If I am elected as your councilman, I can guarantee I will be going to every civic association meeting. I won't be called out for not attending, because if I did go, I know that many of the association meetings have more than 10 people that show up, like someone said here earlier. So just know that I certainly will be I will be a councilman that represents all communities here in Atlantic City.
So I trained all the world language teachers in all of the public schools here in Atlantic City. I spent a lot of time in the schools with the teachers, helping them to be better teachers, to be better at teaching world languages. So I've spent a lot of time in our public schools, and I am very proud of being of service in that way. I also own a business. I also employ Atlantic City employees. I also have a business where people come from all over the world to stay with us by boat, and they stay overnight, and they come into our city, and they spend their money in our restaurants and go to our shops. And so I feel as though my business also contributes in that way to our city and to our residents. What more? I'm also working on a project that will help Atlantic City residents through a board that will disperse funds.
I guess my two qualifications would be, I have a doctorate of law from Villanova University. I finished towards the top of my class there. I also served as city solicitor when Mayor Whalen developed the walk. I did some of the land use work there. Also the H-track, back where the Borgata is, and we did a lot of the land use there as well. I'm a former Teacher of the Year, 2013 by Atlantic City Teachers United. So I'm very familiar with the students and our children here in Atlantic City. My small business, the AC Surf School, we donate dozens of hours each year to teach our children about ocean safety, and I've been very active in the community. So I think that aspect, that education and experience in our community, and I believe several of my students are here tonight to support, and I appreciate you coming out, by the way, guys, that we have to work together. And after this election, we all have to work together for the benefit of our community. Thank you.
Some of the things that I was involved in, I worked with the Board of Education for the after-school programs, the sports programs. When there were a lot of deaths in the Back Maryland area, me and two other friends, Matt and Marvin Burrows, organized a group called Love AC, which we did peace walks, book bag drives, things of that sort, just to help our community. But I am born and raised in Atlantic City. I'm Atlantic City born, I'm Atlantic City bred. And when I die, I'll be Atlantic City dead. So I think that I am an inspiration of hope for these kids in Atlantic City. A lot of kids don't make it out. I'm an inspiration of hope for Atlantic City. These youth and these kids see me, and it is a great thing, because a lot of people don't make it out. I'm one of the fortunate ones, because I had parents that prayed for me, and I thank them for that.
Because of our time, we are going to ask candidates to sum up and give their closing remarks, and we will go in reverse order that we started in. And let's see, Mr. Forkin, you will be the first one to go.
2 minutes.
Okay, I guess we're going to start in reverse order. Thank you. Again, Tom Forkin, I'm an independent running for City Council. Again, you get 3 votes, so you get to vote for 3 City Council people. I believe and respectfully submit to you that perhaps that I might be a wise choice in the sense that I have the education and experience to try to get change on city council, to get the money back from the state of New Jersey that we desperately need. That's our money. And I met with the NAACP attorneys from DC. Mike Johnson was there. We had several other people there. This was last March. The attorneys wanted $100,000 to pursue the case. It is an interesting issue that we need to sue the state in federal court on constitutional and civil rights violations. And I have that explained in detail on my website at forkin4ac.com and on our Facebook, Forkin4AC, that it's important. The state clearly doesn't pay its fair share, and I think everybody in here knows that. Once we retrieve that revenue flow from the state of New Jersey, even if we just get half of it, $45 million, and we pay for public safety in the tourism zone that they want to control, that alleviates not just our debt, but moving forward. Nobody's going to come to Atlantic City and want to live here if they don't feel safe and if they can't afford the property taxes. We have seniors that are getting taxed out of their homes. I walk around the city every day and I see abandoned homes, grass growing out of the sidewalk. It's horrible. People are losing their homes because of the high taxes. And that's because of the state. And that's because we as a community and we as a city council, we really haven't challenged that in court. We need to challenge it judicially and make that happen, okay, in short order. Thank you.
Again, the reason that I ran for council is because I am the change that I want to see. The truth of the matter is this is sort of a competition. I am proud to be a Democrat. We are facing the Republicans. If they didn't want to be Republicans, they should have ran independent like Tom Ford. You know, if you want to keep doing the same things, they say themselves as liberal Republicans, that's an oxymoron. There's not a liberal Republican around. I don't know one. You want to keep privatizing city departments. You want to keep cutting funds for our kids, which they did. $2.7 million they took out of the recreation department. Then vote Democrat on November 7th. It is a great time in Atlantic City, and November 7th will be a great day for us. Thank you.
Once again, I'd just like to thank everyone for coming out tonight, whether you're Democrat, Republican, Independent. One thing that I want to correct is what Jeffrey just said. As a Republican, a Democrat, or an Independent, you have a choice of whether you want to vote Democrat, Republican, or Independent. You should not be allowing anyone to influence your vote. You should be voting for the best candidate up here. Whether I'm Republican or I'm a Democrat, I'm working for you, the residents. You're my boss when I become the councilman. I'm here to work for you. And we need to continue to work together as one city to make sure that we're working for one purpose. That's rebuilding our city, bringing in more businesses, taking care of our families, our youth, our senior citizens, and making sure we're doing what's right for each other. That's working together, working with our police department, our fire department, making sure that we're the eyes and the ears in the community, making sure that we're mentors for our youth, making sure that we're keeping them off the streets and engaged in community activities. So on November 7th, please remember, my name is Ron Bailey. My name is located in column B. Thank you.
I don't need a microphone.
There it is.
First off, I'd like to say thanks for everyone who came out today. We never know what's out here in the streets. We never know how our community is. But it's wonderful when you come out in droves to see about what people are talking about when it comes to the community. Tomorrow is in your hands. The decision that you make on November 7th will impact November 8th and every day beyond it. And truth be told, the decisions that have already been made and packed are going to impact our community even deeper, a lot further, a lot longer. But we're not paying attention to the decisions that have been made. Because a lot of the decisions that were made were behind doors, in people's homes, on a cell phone, and never did they ever consider your life, how it impacts your home. The resident tax here. Not the resident tax in Egg Harbor, Mays Landing, everywhere else where a lot of these people who get paid. They're here. They're impacting your taxes. So let's get real. Money's getting robbed. It's taken out of town. This state is one of them. They've been robbing us for years. Aren't you tired of these thieves? So we have to do what we can to make sure that you point the fingers properly and point the finger when you go into the voting booth and click A all the way. Because that's the proper way to do so. Regardless of all the stuff that's been done, you like to believe a lot of political propaganda, and we love to be really proud in our chest how we're liberal about this, we're this and we're that. Let's be honest. What you're worried about is your paychecks. What you're worried about is taking care of your families, your lives. What are you worried about? We understand that. And that right there, I can respect. But don't ever think that's going to trump the lives of everybody else that lives in the city. It's not going to trump the lives of our children that are impacted by the services we can't provide. It's going to impact the safety that we are supposed to have in our communities because we're getting cut. I'm up. That's it.
All right, well, thank you again for everyone coming out here tonight. I mean, it's just amazing that if not just for this debate here, we see a nice representation of people coming together to hear all of us speak, to hear an exchange of ideas, to hear positivity. The fact that we believe in the city tomorrow is why the candidates are here and why you're all here too. I am a fighter. I'm also a unifier. I know for a fact that Atlantic City will not stand if it's divided, just like no house can. So it's important that when people tell you, whether it be here in front today, or when you see people knock on your door, they're not going to try and divide us by saying, oh, you need to vote Republican, or you need to vote because they live in your ward. The most important things are the ideas that we are presenting here. And I know, and I'm proud, even more so, to work with Mayor Don Guardian. Because he is the man with the ideas that has lowered everyone's property taxes in here. He's the man with the idea who has 50% of the roads paved here in Atlantic City. Every court, every basketball court now has beautiful facilities so kids can play. There's still a lot of work to be done. Make no mistake about it. And that's why we need to make sure that on November 7th, you come out and vote for the ticket, column B, myself, Ron Bailey, Stacey Kerriman, and most importantly, Mayor Don Guardian. Because if we have him in office, we'll continue to see the Atlantic City that we all know can come. So please, November 7th, vote column B. And don't let anyone tell you that you need to vote because of anything silly, because it's just about the ideas, and we have them. Thank you. Vote Paul Tanachi, Councilman at Large, and column B.
Since day one, since I got on the job. The problems we have today was my first fight. I don't need that mic. The very first fight that we had with the casino tax appeals were for Trump. I fought Trump. When they said he was owed $7 million and they tried giving him $34 million, but Judge Smalls got involved and said we shouldn't have. And council and the mayor gave him the money anyway. I was told to back down or else. I got the or else and lost my job of 25 years. Went and started my own business, the best thing I ever did. I employed people, non-stop employing Atlantic City people first. I'm here in basketball courts, Mr. Tanachi. That would be Frank Gilliam that did your basketball courts. 50% of your streets paid. I went to Ventnor City Hall and with former Councilman Russo, got the legislation that they had because our streets were getting 4-foot things of paving while they were getting their whole streets, and brought it to council, and we all voted on it and got it approved and got South Jersey Gas to pay the streets from end to end and got 50% of your streets paid. Penn Gaming, I had Penn Gaming, we had Bader Field sold for $850 million. You would have had the first time municipal tax relief for the first $350,000 of your taxes. The Senate and the Assembly, as usual, blocked it because they were afraid for Harris that if Penn Gaming, with the most financial backing in the country at the time, money on hand, if they were to build at Bader Field, they were afraid casinos on the boardwalk. They changed legislation on how you could sell city property because of the deal that I put together with Penn Gaming for $850 million. I stood up to Bill Gormley and Tom Carver when they tried to take Bader Field from you for $25 million. Time's up.
How was it regarding tax appeal?
What was that? Speak up, stand up, say it.
So, lies and insults are the strategy of those that are incompetent. I would suggest that the incumbents that are saying all the things that are wrong with our city, and yet they were on council for 8 years, 12 years. If I were on council for 4 years and could only come up here and blame somebody else for the problems of our city, I would be ashamed. We need a change on council. We need it right now. We need people with vision. We need people with fresh ideas. We need people that are work together for the people of Atlantic City. We need people that are going to work together, not bicker and argue on council and get nothing done. We need people who are going to work for you, that are, the number one thing is that we are all Atlantic City residents, above Republicans, above Democrats, above Independents. We are all Atlantic City residents, and I promise you, as councilwoman, I will make sure that we stay united and we are proud of our diversity. Thank you.
All of the candidates, and give them a big round of applause for coming tonight. We would also like to thank all of you, and we are getting ready to have our mayoral debate, so stay on your seats, and if you have any more questions, I'll come around and pick them up. All right?
The entire proceedings tonight are being video recorded on Triac 57, and you'll be able to acquire the entire session tonight online by way of Triac 57. Right, Coach?
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Triac 57 online to see this entire debate.
We have your attention, we'd like to get started. Hello, hello, be quiet, we'd like to get started. Quiet!
Come on, girls, sit down. Linda.
Hello?
Hey, Linda.
Thank you. We'd like to get started. And we have our candidates again, they do numbers. Number one is Mayor Guardian. You're going to start first, and you have 2 minutes.
Carry on, sir.
Good evening, fellow residents. 4 years ago, I ran for mayor of Atlantic City because I couldn't believe after 30 years of gaming, with an average of $5 million being added to the city budget every year, the city didn't look better and residents' lives were not better. When I became mayor, I found a city that was broken and on the verge of bankruptcy. I'm happy to say that we were able to save us from bankruptcy. We reduced the budget by over $40 million, and we reduced the bloated city employment by some 400 individuals. Meanwhile, we worked with South Jersey Gas to bring a corporate office here, with Stockton to bring a campus, with Hard Rock to open up a resort, with Steel Pier to build a $14 million observation wheel, and with Bob Gladstein to reopen up a Showboat Casino. And then we then just worry about the big, we worry about the small businesses too. That's why during this month you'll see 4 new businesses opening up on Tennessee Avenue alone, along with the distillery for the first time in Atlantic City. The mayor's job program over 3 years have provided jobs to 750 people. These businesses alone next year will create 3,500 most needed jobs right here in Atlantic City. And we built 300 units of affordable housing for families, for workforce, for seniors, and the 300 units of housing as we speak to you right today. I worked with 5 councilmen who don't listen and don't report to the Camden County political bosses or the Trenton bosses. They fight for you. They didn't go up once or twice. They went up once or twice a week to Trenton fighting with you, with myself. And I need them back, but I need support. We have a future for Atlantic City. We're rebuilding Atlantic City. That's why I'm asking you to vote for me for a second term as mayor and team guardian. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Joseph Polillo. I'm running for mayor as an independent. I'm a small businessman for postcardshow.com. Go there, I advise you to do that. Here's the issues right here. Independence for Atlantic City, home rule, end of state takeover, resumption of community policing. We don't want 35 police on duty in their uniform in the back of the Moose over in Chelsea Heights. During their shift. Less spending, a pilot plan for the residents. The mayor took a Casino Association bill and had council pass it. They passed it to allow the casinos not to pay 98% of their taxes. 2%. Well, I want the mayor and council, when I'm there, 2% resident pilot program where I don't have to pay 98% of my taxes. Call your attention to my flyer. I want you to listen to the radio, WMID, WFBG, WOND, and a couple more, because I have 70 commercials going to be running on each one of those stations. And I would suggest this. Here's your tax bill, if you're a property owner. I received a letter in that. We know the taxes went up 50% just about every single year. And I got a campaign thing from Guardian, and he says in his letter that was in with the taxes, which is abhorrent. We have worked very hard for the last 4 years to reduce your taxes. Oh, did he? Is that a lie? Or is that just a half-truth? What is it? The taxes went up through the roof. The property taxpayers are the only one here that pay taxes. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
First and foremost, I just want to tip my hat because we have, I believe, not one, but 3 trailblazers, women, council women. Miss Barbara Hudgens, Miss Robin, folks will be standing before you stating that it's not a this or that. It's not Republican, it's not Democrat. But everyone basically knows in this country you have a choice that you can make. Either you pick the side of being a Democrat or you pick the side of being a Republican. Folks will tell you that that separates the country. It separates Atlantic City. It's supposed to, because we represent different ideologies. Some Democrats play the role as Republicans. Some Republicans play the role as Democrats. But fundamentally, there are differences. Democrats try to help people. Republicans take away from the people. Democrats understand social needs. Republicans tell you pick up yourself by the bootstraps when there is no need. Then you have people who stand before you and say that they were pro-business. I'm standing here insulted because we have local businesses in this room right now who's been taken advantage of and disrespected. because the process is all about personal gain. Frank Gilliam is running for mayor because I'm a native of Atlantic City. I understand the ebbs and flows of this town. I love each and every person in this room and beyond. They'll tell you that Frank Gilliam basically murdered somebody 20 years ago. I find that disrespectful to my family because you're going out stating things.
It's not true. What's that? Is that 58 seconds on that? KO. 2 minutes, sir. But you have 58 seconds left on that. No, sir. 2 minutes.
God bless you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I got something unknown in the room. I'm Henry Hank Green. Many of you probably don't know me, but I've been around a long time. I first started working politics back when I was with Coach Huff in his run back in the day. He inspired me to run for president in my class 1990. Since then, I've worked for Marty Small, Lorenzo Langford, everybody that's in the city. I've been doing canvassing, vote by mail behind the scenes, getting ideas, doing city programs. I've been doing this for a very long time. But at the end of the day, most of the people are wondering right now what's going on in Atlantic City. People's taxes have went up about 60%, 22% under Lorenzo Langford, 40% under Mayor Guardian. These are the things that you should be worried about. How do you continue to vote for people who showed you what they're going to do in the city right now? You know, there's no jobs, no opportunities for people on the north side, on the south side, no matter where we're at in the city. Our children are hurting. People are walking down Atlantic Avenue looking like zombies. What are the plans for these particular things besides pushing them this way and pushing them that way while we continue to give the state everything that they want? They continue to say that they've been challenging the state. I've been challenging, I've been fighting the state. No one's been fighting the state. These are games that they play with the community. They're messing with your mind. You know what I mean? They're messing with you because they understand the social economic. The state doesn't. Know what they think about us up in North Jersey? They think we're a bunch of dumb country bumpkins right down here. And they know our leaders are not going to fight. They have no fight in them whatsoever. First thing I'm going to do is sue everything that they've done. Sue the state for first and foremost, that they put some money back into our school system. That they sue them for the takeover. Because all these things are illegal. And if we don't challenge them at the end of the day and just let them do what they want to do, that's what we always do. You know, we get up every day and we say, yeah, we got to listen to the man. We got to listen to the boss, whoever that person may be. I'm not listening to my, I'm my own man. No one runs me.
That's right.
I represent the people. I come from the people. I come from the inlet, you know what I mean, poor, welfare, and I know what it is to be poor. I represent the poor people. I represent the tax owners. Thank you.
Yeah.
The first question is to Mayor Guardian.
1 minute to answer. 1 minute to answer.
You wrote a letter before taking office in 2013 that you wouldn't get rid of city employees, that you would not privatize. You did both. How can we trust your promises now?
I received a city that had a $100 million deficit and a $500 million long-term debt that everyone didn't tell you about. That's what I received. And what I had to do is make sure that you had police and fire, that your trash is picked up, that recycling is done. And what I did is looked at best practices of every other city to find out how we could provide those services at the lowest possible cost. Where we were providing the best cost, lowest cost, we kept those services in-house. Where we didn't, we bid it out in a fair process. By the way, because the state took over, I didn't have the opportunity to privatize anything. The state privatized it. But that's just another point that's here. The point is that we have to look out for what's best for our city. That means providing the services at the lowest possible cost.
Mr. Gilliam, is it true that you opposed the $200,000 to redo Browns Park? And did you tell 2 children that you built Browns Park?
Yes, I did tell 2 children that I was a part of the building of Browns Park because most of the parks that basically are in action right now was done under our leadership. It was not Don Guardian or anyone else that he stated who's done that. And more importantly, the $200,000 that I voted against, they did something called the Christmas tree. They put the $200,000 in along with some other budgetary issues that we weren't comfortable and happy with, and they tried to make it seem like we were voting against children. These are the scams that Republicans do. This is the scam that this man has done. This man has failed this town. He has been dishonest and unforthright with us from the moment he got in. He just asked him, right, what did he do before he got in? He told us that he wasn't going to privatize or wasn't going to lay off. Then he comes up here and spills numbers and didn't say he apologized to the families that no longer have any employment. And he did not apologize to the city for being untruthworthy and unforthright. So at the end of the day, vote your conscience and understand that loyalty is honesty. Honesty is important. Thank you.
Mr. Gilliam, please don't sit. What has been your employment in the last 10 years, excluding the city government? How do you feel that that experience employment has helped you to prepare you for the position of mayor?
I'm a business owner. I've also been on council for 8 years. And also, I'm a person that understands how to manage my money. Right? People sit up here and try to count your money and say what you've done and what you did not do. You don't know if I play on the stock market. You don't know if I got a lottery ticket. You don't know where any of my funds come from. But the key matter is who stands up for your money when it comes to fraudulent and fictitious numbers with the budget. We've asked the mayor for the budget for 4 months, 5 years, however long he's been here, we've asked for the budget. We don't know what the budgetary issues are in Atlantic City because we can't get a real budget. So when you're asking me what I do with my money or how I basically made money, I've been very frugal. I'm a business owner, number one. Number two, I play on the stock market. Thank you for the young man that actually understands the ability to make money off the market. And lastly, do you hire me for the purpose of what I make on my personal job, or do you hire me to take care of your responsibilities as an elected official?
This question is to all candidates. How do you propose to get the state out of Atlantic City?
That's a pretty simple answer. I don't need a minute for it. Both gubernatorial candidates have agreed that they're going to remove the state takeover as the first act that they have when they become governor. We are welcoming that day. That will be our Christmas Day on January 16th when this governor is out.
The answer is, how did the state get in here? The governor gave Mayor Guardian 3 years to develop a financial plan to get the city out of this crisis, and he failed. And the state took over November 2016. The mayor and his solicitors didn't file a federal lawsuit against his unconstitutional Recovery Act. Who are they to overrule our elected officials? Take away our sovereignty, take away civil service, take away collective bargaining, and have the right to fire and hire anybody they want. They also should have filed for bankruptcy. The solicitors are Guardian's appointments. They flipped and started working for the state. The mayor and city council still don't do anything about Palolo versus Dean, 1977, New Jersey State Supreme Court, where all the decisions are made in the back room.
Question was, on November the 7th, you vote Don Guardian out. Don Guardian was the entity that brought the state here from day one. Folks fail to realize that when you're standing on national television, and you're standing with the Senate President, and you're standing with the governor of New Jersey, and you're saying, and the governor of New Jersey is saying that this is a state takeover. And then Mr. Guardian comes back to Atlantic City and tells us that it's a partnership. And then you read in the press or the periodicals where Governor Christie said, you can call it what you want. It's a state takeover. This gentleman right here is also cited in the Philadelphia Inquirer that the state is doing his plan. So which one is it? Is it he's fighting the state or he's with the state? Double Talk Don is his new name because we don't know when he's telling us the truth or when he's being fictitious to us. And I'm sick and tired of sitting here having this man lie to us because we deserve better.
A lot of people seem to have a lot of faith in Phil Murphy. Me personally, I don't. He just had a fundraiser with Norcross last week. So something shady about that. So I don't have a lot of faith in that. The other thing is, Phil Murphy just can't change the law by itself. It's a law, it's a state law. It has to go back to the legislature. The legislators have to change that. He can give it his opinion, but I doubt very seriously that they just change anything. I'm quite sure they're going to leave somebody in here in control, and so we're going to have to do a federal lawsuit against the state in order to get them out of here. And that will be my plan to do right from the door. Surround myself with some great smart lawyers, because evidently we don't have smart lawyers right now. Because everybody's saying that they've been challenging the state, and there's laws right now in the takeover law where we can challenge everything that they're doing, but yet every council meeting they continue to vote 9-0 or 8-1 in favor of everything that the state wants to do, instead of going against it. And I have the law right up here in front of me if anybody wants to read the law, that they're not doing challenging the state, and anyone that says they've been doing that, they've been lying.
Councilman Gilliam, what is your relationship with the Norcross family?
Again, the boogeyman Norcross. Who is Norcross? The question is, George Norcross, who is he? Again, I'm a man of integrity. If I know George Norcross, I'll stand before you and say I know George Norcross, because there's no faking that. I've never met the man a day in my life. But at the same time, he's a power broker. He's a Democrat. Folks act like we're supposed to run away from Democrats because they have certain elements that they can basically move things. The city cannot work on a silo anymore. The city has to be open to Norcross, Bart Blackstein, Jingoli, Morris, you name it. The city has to be open to all these people in order for us to grow out of this hole. So when people talk about George Norcross, you can staple me with that all you want, but at the end of the day, Frank Gilliam represents Frank Gilliam and elected people who elected me to basically represent them. Thank you.
Mr. Palillo, do you think this is your time to get elected? Why do you think this is your time to get elected?
Because it is time for me to be elected. I'm the only one saying anything, pardon me, on the issues. I have some people who are for the Guardian team personally attacking me on radio about my looks. I think I look pretty good. I hope you all read my brochure. I am a graduate of New York University. I am a small businessman. The Postcard Show was television. I was a producer for television shows. I do radio every week for the Postcard Show. And there's many more reasons. I might add that the Supreme Court ruled in my favor in New Jersey.
To the four of you, the perception is that Atlantic City is not safe. What will you do to change that perception?
Atlantic City, there's a lot of things we have to do. Just a couple of weeks ago, someone kicked in my mother's door with my daughter and my grandson and my pregnant daughter in the house and put guns to their head. And we're talking about a lot of times we spend so much time on police brutality and all of that other stuff like that. What are we going to do in our own communities? When are we going to start standing up and making sure we stop crime and raising our children properly? I know that has a lot to do with jobs and opportunity and training and all the things that we need to get them involved. But we still have to start doing some work inside our own communities. The same thing with police. I will hold them accountable. If they break the law, they get held accountable for it. But we have to start doing some work in our own communities and dealing with our children and making sure we know what our kids are bringing in the house and having those different talks. And I'm not afraid to have that talk with our own community and with our community. I will door to door if I have to talk to parents and whatever it is I have to do. As far as dealing with the police, I'm going to deal with them. There's no doubt about it. I have a plan for them all day long. Thank you.
Oh, you want the question? The perception. The perception is that Atlantic City is not safe. What will you do to change that perception?
I think you have to start with educating the young people and getting them involved and getting them ready for the job market and opportunities in the city. I think that when you look at what Atlantic City has become, it's an embarrassment to each and every one of us because we all remember Atlantic City when it was thriving and when it was a true community. I think that we should basically reach our arms out to every inch of this town and make sure we cuddle each other and make sure we actually speaking about the necessities of each and every end of the community. Poverty is the problem. People want to basically overlook it. Poverty is the issue in our city, along with the other things. But first and foremost, we need more deployment. We need to do what New York did with Times Square, light the place up, put police on foot, and actually be open to opportunities for investment. And I think that that's what Atlantic City needs to make sure that we no longer have vagrants hanging on the streets and things of that nature, because we can basically talk about folks all we want. If you don't offer them the opportunity, they'll do what they're doing now. Thank you.
It's not a perception, it's real.
There is not a better police department in the state of New Jersey. This police department was penny white, and the PBA has completely turned themselves around. You can check all the state scores when you're talking about any type of crime, you see a reduction. When you're talking about people complaining to internal affairs, it's down 80% in just 4 years. When you talk about less force and excessive force, down 75% in 4 years with this police department. They are meeting with our children. They're in the schools. They're having pizza with them and they're having coffee with parents in the parks. They've expanded the PAL program here. They're trying to make our city safe, but it is us working with the police department, that's going to create public safety for all of us.
To all of you, currently there's an ordinance from the 90s that allows barbecuing on Caspian and Main Avenue Beach. Why is AC the only beach allowing barbecue? Ordinance needs to be canceled. Times have changed. This is a neighborhood, and now other rules and currently posted are also not followed. Will you stop the barbecuing on the beaches? Word is Caspian Avenue Beach will not have barbecuing, but it will now be on New Hampshire Avenue Beach. Will there be a designated area for barbecuing? This is to all of you.
So City Council does pass the ordinances that control barbecuing. It's permitted on Caspian Avenue Beach as well as New Hampshire Avenue Beach year-round. And then, of course, on July 4th and on Labor Day, it's allowed on any beach. Barbecue is part of the summer enjoyment. I would be very much in favor of sponsoring barbecues at every beach. It's good for Atlantic City. Our beaches are free. Our people want to enjoy themselves. Barbecuing is the natural way to do that.
I don't eat meat. Plus, I think that's an issue for who? The city council, the present city council. That's why I'm opposed to incumbents. But I want to get back to the real issue about the state taking over our city and our taxes being raised. You're not allowed to do. Can I ask 3 questions? You didn't get the joke.
Well, currently there are laws on the book that allow certain people to actually cook out in certain areas. However, you can ask Jane at the Back Bay Ale House, she can't cook out. We're trying to figure out why she can't and others can. We're talking about a person who pretty much employs 100 people. That's the problem in Atlantic City. That's why I'm running. You're going to be fair across the board in order to actually bring justice and equality. You just can't pick and choose who have the opportunity to do what when you want that person to have that. That's why you elect us. You elect us to be fair and just and not do things for friends and family members. For example, I don't want to mention any names, the cameramans. They're allowed to cook out, and guess what? That's a gas station. But you won't allow Jane to cook out in a park. That's a disgrace.
And I agree with both of the last two gentlemen that, you know, there's bigger topics to be talking about going on in the city. And the fact that, you know, why can't we cook on any of the beaches? Why can't we cook anywhere in Atlantic City? Why are all of these new laws to try to rev up revenue when there's many other, we need to be bringing businesses into town, entrepreneurship. There's so many other ways to make money instead of taking away from our natural history we have here in Atlantic City. We've always did these things in these beaches. These must be ideas from people that are not from here. They don't have sand in their shoes.
The next question to each of you. What are you going to do, and this is underlined, in the term to reduce taxes?
So clearly, new businesses coming into the city as well as new homes being built brings in new taxes for the city. We've trimmed the budget quite a bit. I'm not saying it's impossible to trim more money, but I think we're just about there with trimming. I can't tell you why we have a good future next year and the year after. There's $17 million alone next year that will not be spent for casino tax appeals that taxpayers had to pay this year. In addition to that, because of the gross gaming revenue of casinos, the $120 million that they pay us this year will be going up to $130 million next year, $10 million more. 4 will go to the schools, 1 will go to the county, 5 will stay with the city. So it's new businesses that we need to have come in that's going to be able to control property taxes. Ultimately, we have to do a tax appeal, if not 18 and 19, so that all of us are able to have the real value of our house, which is what the house is going to be sold for today, not what it was going to be sold for 7 years ago.
The mayor's government never filed budgets on time or at all, really. The mayor and his government gave the zoning powers to CRETA, right?
Not this May.
What was that?
Not this May.
Well, who did it?
Previous May.
Okay. All right. Well, hold on a minute, man. No questions from the audience. I don't lie, pal. I got a letter here where you're a liar. You wait in there. The guy just called me a liar, right? I'm not allowed to respond? What'd you just say then?
I said don't lie.
I don't.
Great.
But you do. I got it here in writing. No time. No. Is the mayor asking for a new deal from CRETA and the state? We don't get anything. And I want a seat on CRETA, so elect me mayor. He's here. He don't do anything here.
Because of all the activity, I am being entertained, and nor can I remember what the original question is. That's a very difficult question to answer because for the past 3 years, we haven't really been able to get a budget. The first thing I'll do is have an audit from an independent entity so we can at least understand what our real numbers are. We've been led astray with so many different numbers. it's 260, it's 220, it's 206. We don't really know what the real budget is. And when you ask for it, and council, they sit there and look at you like you asked them what the temperature on Mars is. So, first and foremost, you have to actually get an audit, and you have to look at the real numbers so you can figure out where you're going and how you're going to forecast it. Bankruptcy, some of them said that we were crazy to go bankrupt. But you have a county that has AAA rating, stated that it was okay, and guess what? Detroit is actually one of the hottest developmental entities in the country right now.
My answer is the same. Atlantic City first all the time. So we sue in the state, we sue in the pilot bill. That's what I'm doing, getting these good lawyers, and I'm good lawyers. These lawyers we have now are not worth the money we're paying them. So we're going to sue the state, and the other idea that I had was make sure that any employees that work for Atlantic City live in Atlantic City. So all those good policemen right there in the back with those nice high juicy salaries start moving into the city and elevate our rateables. That'll lower the taxes for the rest of the taxpayers. And so, you know what I mean, this is what we have to do. We have to start making sure that the people, we take care of the people in Atlantic City first. We have to do a revow and make sure. And the other thing about it is, how come they just didn't fix the pilot, fix the tax program? Why did we do a pilot in the first place instead of just fixing the problem? Corrected the tax problem so we're not overtaxing the taxpayers or the casinos, and then we got to go into debt and go back and do the revows, and the taxpayers don't have the lawyers that the casinos have at the end of the day. Fix the problem.
The next question is to each of you. What will or can you do to make city employees, teachers, police, firemen, etc., live in the city?
I think it's a very difficult question. You can certainly show a bill with a credit card. You can get a library card. You can have lots of things go to an address for property that's in Atlantic City. It would prove that you live here, but you don't have to be living here. You can be living anywhere else. I think that you have people come back to Atlantic City because it's a place that you want to live, because you got great parks, because you got a great school system, because you feel safe, because businesses are here that you want to visit. What we have to do is make Atlantic City more attractive, not only for the people that live here, for the people that don't live here. That's how you get people to come back to Atlantic City.
Well, there's a law on the book right now that anybody who is appointed by the mayor in a directorship must move into Atlantic City within 1 year, and none of them did. Okay? And they were from Middle and Little Egg Harbor and somewhere else, Millville. So the mayor allows his directors to circumvent the law. Also, I want to get this in quick. Why isn't the mayor asking for the pilot bill to be rescinded? Why isn't he asking for Creta to pay on the 700 parcels of land that they have? Right? And we want a new deal. We don't get any money from, the state gets the money and Creta gets the money. The city gets squat, and the state only charges them 10%. Pennsylvania charges a casino 50%. We get nothing but lip service, ribbon cutting, and photographs.
There are some departments where the city has autonomy to make sure that the workers live in the city, and that's the directors. But when it comes to fire, we basically have them move, but when it comes to police, that's a state mandate. That's something that the state enforces. A lot of things that are asked of us sometimes are out of our hands, and it's also important to have folks understand when it's something that can be done on the municipal level or it's something state-orientated. So when you're asking people to say, hey, make police officers or firemen stay in the city, we could write a resolution or ordinance, but it would not have any merit because the state supersedes those particular laws. But again, that's when we have to open up our mouths and talk to people in Gloucester and Camden and North Jersey and wherever else we can lobby to make sure we get certain laws changed to make sure we can end up having these things looked at from a legislative position without without trying to be a silo and thinking we can do it on our own.
If a state can take over a city and their sovereignty, they can change the law to make police stay in the city. You know what I mean? If you can take away people's civil rights, you can take away their civil service, you can take away all of those different things. You can't tell me you can't make a law, they can't come and work with us, and if they say that they're about saving us money and saving Atlantic City, that you can't do that. You know what I mean? Again, you have to ask for it. We never have nobody around here that want to ask for nothing. They want to sit and be told what to do. You know what I mean? So we have to have people that's proactive as to want to go after them and demand. We have to demand things around here. No one demands anything. They wait for somebody to come along and tell them what to do. I'm not waiting for nobody to come tell me what to do. That's what we have these lawyers for. Now, I don't want to just make, all the police just come in. All right, we can grandfather some of them in, but anybody we hire from here on out, they need to buy some of these land, vacant foreclosures houses up. It's going to help everybody else. It's not just for us. And be a part of the community. You get to learn the people in your community, the police brutality, and all of these different things that's been going on. All of these things get to stop once you become part of the community. You get to sponsor these stores and everything else that are here. So this is how we change those things.
To each candidate, what programs in the community have you been working on that have the most direct impact on the lives of the residents?
So, it's difficult to name any one thing. We're certainly, the rebuilding of the parks and the playgrounds are critical because they affect the future of our city and all of our children. Relighting the city, putting in the Baltic Canal so that it operates like it did before 1962, rebuilding the boardwalk, making sure that we have social services for the question that came up to council about the people that have opiate addictions and providing health and services for them. All of that are important issues for the city to be taken care of. All of them affect your daily life. Having a strong fire department, having a good police department, making sure that you're safe, making sure that the ambulance gets there, making sure that there's Narcan in all the police cars and in the fire trucks, making sure that defibrillators are in all the vehicles when they get there. That's how we help save lives. That's how we make your lives better.
Well, the government's here now, right? There's a mayor and council government here. I want to stop the needle exchange. I've been saying that for a long time. You give somebody the needle to shoot the dope. He's got to buy the dope, and he's shooting the dope right here in Atlantic City. Got to rescind that program. Other bunch of people. And I've been running and around since 1972 about this government. And I don't think the issue is playgrounds all the time. There's better issues. The state takeover, we got to concentrate on that. We got to get the state out of here. The government should have filed a federal suit against the Unconstitutional Recovery Act takeover. That'll help the community. If we want a new deal with CRETA, we want some of that money. We don't want the state taking all the money out of here. We don't want a guy in the audience jumping up and making a decision for our government, or a guy in a back room up in North Jersey.
I believe the question was, what do you do for the community besides your political jobs? What was the question?
What programs in the community have you been working on that have the most direct impact on the lives of residents?
Absolutely. I thought that's what I heard. When you talk about doing things for the community, you're not talking about the jobs and lighting. You're talking about feeding the community, which we do every Wednesday and Thursday in Stanley Home. We're talking about being a volunteer coach for over 20 years. We're talking about, for the past 10 years, taking kids to college tours. We're talking about giving MLK $20,000 towards their STEM programs. We're talking about those things. We're talking about getting out of your professional attire and getting into the community and helping folks where they're needed. I'm sick and tired of people tending to act like they're about the public and they're about the people. We do those things, and some of the things that we do, we don't even mention because it's not about accolades. It's about helping your neighborhood and your communities from end to end. That's what I've been doing all my life. Thank you.
That's me again, right? Well, that's all I've been doing my whole life, advocating for the community, advocating for the less fortunate. I'm with a Listen and Exploit program that I'm doing right now with some folks from Stockton and Maldonado, a lot of other individuals. Also with Stockton, they have a program going on right now with to get 300 kids to go out to Stockton and just, you know, experience what college is about. I'm going to be a part of that program, work with that program. But every week I have a radio show on WOND, the Kevin Hall Show program. And the show is geared around, you know, WOND is a conservative station. And what I like to do is bring people from our community and that are doing things in our community, because probably a lot of people who listen to that show, the conservative mindset, have a different mindset of what the community is like and what the people are like in the community. And I like to expose what we do in the community, different people, not just myself, that we have all kinds of people in our community that's doing wonderful and great things. And I like to expose them to that, and then I participate in their programs after I bring them on the show. Thank you.
The final question is, how will you address crime in smaller neighborhoods with respect to ACPD's RTM methodology? How will you address crime in smaller neighborhoods with respect to ACPD's RTM methodology?
So I believe, I don't want to use the minute trying to have to explain what risk terrain monitoring.
While you explain, sir.
So risk terrain monitoring, Atlantic City is only one of 6 cities in the entire world that rather than go after people that are committing the crimes, they actually go after the locations. So in Atlantic City, as an example, 60% of the crime is only committed in 1% of the community. And what it means is that rather than having police assigned to patrols, they actually monitor real time where crime is affected, and then they have the patrols actually assigned to them. So that's what RTM is. Now you can ask the question.
How will you address crime in smaller neighborhoods with respect to RTM?
So what happens is what I'll be happy to begin. What happens now is what the Atlantic City Police Department is doing. Whether it's Texas Avenue or Bungalow Park, or whether it's down on Ocean Avenue. It's the Atlantic City Police Department comes down, meets with people in the neighborhood to find out what the issue is. We bring in license inspection, control, we bring in public works if we have to trim trees or cut down shrubs and bushes, improve lighting, do a better job at cleaning, inspect row homes or homes that are abandoned, and not only police that is visible, meaning in uniform, but also bringing vice and assign them there. That's how you clean up crime in Atlantic City, and that's why you have areas like Bungalow Park that does such a good job, because they have a neighborhood program where they actually work with the police to make sure that they maintain their neighborhood.
Well, the city had community policing. They spent millions and millions of dollars putting a substation in every ward. First ward, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Where'd it go? It's not there. I want the community policing back, and I want the class 2s and regular police walking out of the car, off the bike. Chelsea Heights cars have been rifled. Sheds have been broken into. All the copper of all the houses that have been raised has been stolen. We need the police to walk, lose a little weight, get out there. Hey, am I right? All right? That's right. So that's what I want, a program where they start walking. All right? I want a police officer at Albany and the boardwalk, and I want the police looking at the screens to see if an 18-wheeler is going up there.
Well, if we have this program in place already and we have the marketing and the mapping of this, how come Atlantic Avenue and Pacific Avenue look so horrendous? The other thing I believe that we should be doing instead of targeting neighborhoods, poverty is the problem. lack of employment, lack of resources, and more importantly, exposing our youth to opportunities that allow them to basically look at themselves in a much more favorable manner. I'm a firm believer that public safety is important. We all have a role to play, but you can't lock this problem up. You can't lock your way out of this issue. It's about being humane and finding ways to actually expose everyone to an open and fair opportunity at things. And you can't just use targeting and marketing people as if though they're in a concentration camp, because at the end of the day, we are in America. Thank you.
Again, this is why our police officers need to be living in the community. Because they start, if you care more about the community and you care more about the people, if you're part of the community, you live in the community. Councilman Gilliam explained a lot of those things. Poverty is the problem. And, you know, Mayor Guardian said all of these different things are happening, but I don't see it. You know what I mean? I very rarely see police officers. In very few places. If I do, it's once. Mr. Hank used to see all the time on the west side riding around. Always see Mr. Hank. You knew he waved, you know, he deterred crime because he was moving around. People saw him, they knew who he was, they respected him. This is what we need to do. I don't know where the rest of the police are. I don't know how many police officers we have on duty at one time. Maybe we need more, you know, and they deserve the money. I know this is not Newark. I know this is not Camden. I know this is not Patterson. I know this is not New York and Boston or Baltimore, you know what I mean? So they're not scared to death for their lives like that. They get paid good money to do their job. So they get paid that good money, so they need to be out there on the street. So, you know what I mean? Somewhere visible.
Okay, we're going to sum up. It's on me right here today. Well,
one thing you know about me is that I'm not the sharpest pencil in the box, but I know how to lead. I'm going to give 110% whatever I do. And I expect any and everybody else around me and the city employees and everybody else to do the same thing. I won't let a lot of the things like a lot of the past mayors do. You know what I mean? They want to have their directors and everybody else do things so they can have plausible deniability. They don't want to know what's happening and all the little things that are going on in City Hall. There's so many things going on in City Hall right now that Mayor Guardian don't have a clue that's going on. He don't want to know what's going on. He's letting a lot of people abuse their jobs, their responsibility, and he's doing a lot of negative things to a lot of people, and he don't care. His response to it is let him sue, and that's putting it on the taxpayer. Taxpayers paying more money. You see Mooney and all these other guys are suing at the end of the day because of that mentality and those thoughts. We just privatized the trash department, but yet we're still doing trash on Atlantic Avenue. We're still doing trash pickups. We're still doing trash bulk. How are we paying somebody $8 million for a contract and we're still doing all the duties and things like that? We let people steal money from us. We're not challenging these things. And again, there's nothing that's going to go on right now without me challenging everything that the state has done. The taxes, the hotel taxes, there's no way that they should be getting 100% of all this money and no one's saying nothing and no one's not challenging them and no one's not doing anything. You're going to get the best out of me because I represent the people at the end of the day. There's no money going in my pockets. I don't need no extra money. You're going to pay me to do a job and get paid to do a job, and I come to work every day to do a hard job, and I expect everyone else to do the same thing I do. Thank you.
First and foremost, let me thank the Uptown Civic Association for, First Ward Civic Association, and Bungalow Park, and the City of Atlantic City. I'm running because it's a time for us to have some clear and concise visionaries to take the helm of Atlantic City. For the past 3 years, we've seen our city dwindle to almost nothing. But I'm an optimist. I see much more brightness on the horizon because Atlantic City has always found its way back on good footing. And with the right leadership, and on November the 7th, column A, if we were to actually grade ourselves, and honestly grade ourselves, I would say this administration should receive an F. I receive an F2 because I'm a part of this issue. But as your mayor, I'm able to do much more and do a lot more from a position of power, because at the end of the day, it's not about white, black, Asian, it's about Atlantic City. And it's about bringing prosperity back to a town that is in dire need of prosperity, economic development. It's about looking at children in their face and telling them that your life will be much better than what you see right now. It's about making sure that we leave this place better than what the heck it is right now, because it's an embarrassment to walk around and see children lost and turned out. Yes. And under my leadership, everyone, I mean everyone, will have an equal opportunity to be a part of this prosperity that's coming in Atlantic City. That's why these men want it. I don't blame them, because we all see something that's bright, and your future looks bright with Atlantic City on November the 7th. Thank you.
I'd like everybody to notice the advertisement sign and read it. I would also like them to read my book. I got a bestseller out there that nobody bought. Go to PolilloForMayor.org. Read my poster. There's going to be radio ads, like I told you. I have a Facebook page. I have a business called thepostcardshow.com with 5 to 9 retail outlets in Atlantic City at the Visitor Center and the Irish Pub and the Absecon Lighthouse and a number of other places. And I'm having a rally October the 8th at my home at 301 North Raleigh Avenue and Whalen Boulevard. And I want to tell you that I'm a lifelong resident. I went to Brighton Avenue, Star of the Sea, Chelsea. My brothers went to Central. I went to Atlantic High for more years than Don did. He's not from here. I graduated from New York University, a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science, American History, and Journalism. I worked for the City of Atlantic City, 30 years licensed inspector, solved every construction complaint, licensed every fly-by-night handyman and contractor that came into the city for every casino. I was vice president of the Atlantic City White Collar Association, which I removed the Teamsters from public unionization. And I was former chief mercantile inspector who worked the boardwalk, kept it straight. But the state came in and gave a guy a job. I never broke $50,000 in my job in 30 years. He gets 170. Okay? And the Host Awards gave him an award. And the boardwalk is completely out of shape. So there it is, the way you made it. There it is. So vote for me, I'm row C, and I think you'll have a better time, I assure you.
First of all, I do want to thank you for coming out. It's not the first time you see me, because you know at every single civic association, I'm here at least twice a year, every year, not just at election time. You've heard a lot of anger from the people that are running with me. You don't hear anger in my voice. It's because we need to be uniting the city, and we need to be moving forward. We need to be rebuilding our city, because we know casinos alone don't work. If you want a person who's working hard for you and continue to work hard for you, if you want to look at the jobs and the successes, look at what we've occurred in the last 4 years. Frank doesn't talk about what happened when he was in charge of City Council 4 years before that. He's trying to take credit for what happened during the Guardian administration. Frank, don't laugh. If you want Camden County Democrats to be running Atlantic City, the choice is pretty clear. If you want a mayor who's been fighting for you,
go out and vote for the person of your choice. Make sure you go out and vote. Give yourselves a round of applause. Everybody get on the